part of our process with HUMBL, and I think part of the interest around HUMBL, is learning new technologies. One of which at its core is the digital wallet. So that's what we're bringing forward into the market, is these digital wallets where you'll start to house things like payment methods, financial technologies, government functionalities, and private sector things like ticketing, collectibles, etc. So it's a really fun time to be building out this sort of new stack of technologies that can house so many different functions for customers. Personal assets, land, title, licensure, renewals, anything that you can issue or revoke as a government. So the means of value and the means of exchange will really be determined once again through these digital wallets and how people use them. Last week I was one of the keynote speakers for the World Blockchain Summit in Singapore, and one of the terms that I was using was the super wallet, meaning it will transcend just payments or stocks and bonds in these wallets, but rather moving into things like you mentioned, land, title, permits, etc. One of the things that we've had the exciting opportunity to do at HUMBL is travel a bit more of the world, I think, than most people, and part of your learning with that is that these things are negotiated differently by country, right? You have different systems in different countries where there's nobles and commoners, royalty or elected governments. So it's interesting to see how different governments or government leaders that you meet with navigate things like land and title and how that gets recorded. One of the most important hallmarks of HUMBL is not just the digital wallet piece, but also that we are tying these behaviors into a decentralized registry. And so if you think about things like centralized and decentralized, centralized is big government, big tech, big banks. You now have with blockchain this decentralized layer that can record a wallet transaction between you and me. And so it's this really nice impartial ledger that allows you to record that I transferred you something. And in certain areas, probably all the areas we visited, it's really important to the citizen to know that it wasn't just a centralized entity that recorded that land transfer or that title transfer, but rather an independent ledger that lives holistically between you and me, so that there's this neutral ledger that records that we had that transaction. And that's, you'll hear a lot more about centralized versus decentralized, but to me, the most important thing you can do is take a centralized product from a company or a government and put it on top of decentralized rail systems so that you have this neutral ledger of truth as we move into asset flow between people and between governments and people to make sure that everybody's on the up and up with what's owned and what's transferred and what's recorded.